Hi, my name is Emma, and I chose to do my food culture project on the food lefse, which is a Norwegian bread, but it looks more like a tortilla. And I chose to do this because my family always eats it around the holidays, and it's almost the holiday season, so I thought this would be perfect time to talk about it. Whenever I eat it, I think about making it with my grandma and my mom. We would always make it around Thanksgiving or Christmas time and enjoy it with our family and friends. The history of lefse is that it is said to be originated from Norway, which is the side of my family that likes to make it. It is a bread made from potatoes, but it looks more like a tortilla. However, the original lefse from Norway did not contain potatoes. It was actually made from flour because potatoes were not introduced to those Norwegians yet. It was something that would sustain Norwegians for months, and they would have it dried on a shelf like a cracker until they were ready to eat it, which then they would dip it in water and warm it up. And often they would spread butter on it and sugar, and it would be kind of like a sweet bread type thing. Women who specialized in making lefse would travel from house to house and village to village, making it for families so that they could be sustained for the cold winter months. And today it is often also enjoyed with butter and sugar. Some people use brown sugar or cinnamon, but typically it's always served with butter and sugar. In the early 1800s, the potatoes were then introduced to the Norwegians and their foods, and the lefse was then made from potatoes. And in the mid-1800s, the potato famine affected lefse, but by then a lot of Norwegians made their way to the United States, where they carried on the tradition of making potato lefse, which is still a tradition in many Norwegian American homes. The calorie per serving is 163 calories per serving, 6 grams of fat, 24 grams of carbs, and then 3.2 grams of protein. And then the two highest macronutrients are 41 milligrams of sodium and 290 milligrams of potassium. However, this is from like pre-made store-bought lefse, which obviously will have more sodium than homemade lefse to preserve it. So I would say it's relatively healthy because it's just like a bread or a tortilla, except for like the store-bought version. Obviously you want to be considerate of how much sodium you are eating per serving. And obviously bread can be considered healthy or not depending on how much you eat. So how to make it. So you will cover the potatoes. So you start with potatoes and water. You cook them until tender, and then you run the hot potatoes through a ricer. You put them in a large bowl, and you beat them with butter, sugar, cream, and salt into the potatoes. So you like mix them all together basically. You let them cool, and then you stir the flour into the potato mixture once it's cool. And you pull off little pieces, and you roll the dough into like little balls, and then you lightly flour a pastry cloth and make sure that the balls are rolled out into like a 1/8 inch thickness, and then you will cook on a griddle until bubbles form on each side, and each side is browned, and then you place a damp towel down and cool slightly, and then they're ready to be served. If you don't serve them right away, there's a special way to preserve them where you don't put them on the dry cloth and you let them get dry, and you can like keep them just in a dry pantry until you're ready to eat them. And then for the interview, I interviewed my parents and I asked them both why this is culturally relevant, and they said it's something that only mainly Norwegians know how to make. Not all European Americans or Europeans know how to make it. So it's kind of cool that not a lot of people are obviously from Norway, so it's kind of a special tradition that Norwegian Americans hold. I asked my parents what lefse made them think of, and they both said it made them think of their grandparents during the holidays, which it also made me think of my grandparents. And I asked them how they like to enjoy it, and my dad said heat it up with butter, cinnamon, and sugar, which is also how I like it. My mom prefers it just plain with no butter or sugar. I asked my parents if they have made it, which I know my dad has not, and he said no, he just likes to enjoy us make it, and my mom said to mention that it is kind of like making crepes. It's kind of the same way, and it looks the same when they're cooking. And then I asked how often they consume it, and my dad says he likes to buy it randomly throughout the store, or throughout the year from the store, and my mom only enjoys it homemade around the holidays. So that is my food culture project on lefse. I hope you learned something and enjoyed. Thanks.